Now recording.
Now recording. Are we straight in?
Yeah, why not?
I guess we're straight in. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventure, where we talk rock and metal. I'm not Phil. That sounded really boring, didn't it? Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventure, where we talk rock and where we talk rock and metal. I'm not Phil.
And I'm Simeon Lily, not Dave.
Simeon Lily.
Simeon
Lily. And we're just a couple of dickheads that like rock and metal, and we like to talk about it.
Huge dickheads.
You damn straight. So today we're going to be talking about two records like we did last week. That was quite good fun, wasn't it? We did Viscera versus Heart of a Coward.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at this week is Heaven Shall Burn.
Yeah. What was
two records that you suggested from them? Before we go on to that,
yeah, okay.
Obviously, there's the usual "what have you been listening to" stuff, but I thought it would be quite poignant today for us to start with the news.
Because, okay.
I'm willing to bet that you are not actually aware of this news, because I literally just thought, right, I better have a quick look. And the top headline that popped up, I cannot fucking believe it.
Go for it.
Little Richard just died today.
I was just reading about Little Richard.
Yeah, he just passed away. Let me check the story. I don't want to fuck the dates up. 6 hours ago, rock legend Little Richard dead at 87.
That is pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, the news of the legend's passing was confirmed to Rolling Stone by Little Richard's son, Danny Penniman, though no cause of death was given. Born on December 5th, 1932 in, I don't know how that's pronounced, Macon or Mason, not sure, Macon, in Georgia, Richard Wayne Penniman found massive success as a rock and roll singer in the 50s under the stage name Little Richard. His frantic, raw vocal delivery helped lay the foundation for the next generation of rockers such as the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, and the Rolling Stones. Lemmy was a fucking huge fan,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it makes sense. There's covers, isn't there, on albums and stuff?
Oh yeah. He's done a few Little Richard tunes, but he was a big rock and roll fan, Lemmy, but massive Little Richard fan. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the dude was 87 years old.
Spring chicken.
It's not like he was a kid, but it's not like he's in the 27 club. He's in the 87 club. He's had a good run, but it's still very sad because the man was a genuine, like, bona fide fucking legend. I'll be honest, I think this news will come as a shock to a lot of people because I think there's a lot of people who would think he was already dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you said it, I was thinking, I wondered if he was dead. I hadn't heard anything.
When I first saw that headline, so I didn't scroll down to see the headline. I just saw a photo of him playing piano. And this is on Loudwire, by the way, I got this from. Although I'm sure obviously it's going to be everywhere. This photo of him playing, before I saw the headline, my first thought was, why would Little Richard be in the news? And then it's obviously I see the headline, he's dead. And I was quite shocked myself, if I'm honest. I had no idea he was still alive. But either way, it's very sad. And, that's heaven sounding a little better, I suppose.
Yeah, man. Pretty legendary dude for a lot of reasons, though, wasn't he? Like, he was black, he was gay, and he was
from the South.
From the South into rock and roll, which was like just a massive, like,
that's your trifecta of girls' mums not liking you.
Exactly, and yet still massively popular.
How the fuck do you know? I'm really unprepared because I literally just thought I'm going to have a quick look at the headlines so we've got something to open up on, and that was the first one that came up. So it's not like I've done any research. I don't even know the date today. I think it's the 10th, 11th, 10th. I think today.
It was Friday the 8th, so...
Oh, so it's the 9th today. So, yeah, it's Saturday the 9th of May. It's like late on, so we're recording at night. And I just thought I'd better have something to open up with a bit of the news. We don't like to spend too much time concentrating on the news and being distracted by every story, because most of them are bullshit, to be honest. But
either bullshit or miserable. I hate the news because it's always fucking miserable shit.
Well, I have avoided the news. That's why I have to look it up right before we record, because I don't fucking pay any attention to it at all in any of its context. Like, not like in music, or maybe film news is about the only news I keep up on, because it's never bad news. It's just telling me what films are in production at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. So, thoughts with his family, I suppose. And it's to say I thought I hadn't realised he was still alive. That's actually quite saddening. He was a genuine. There aren't many real legends left,
No, this is true. I remember I got a wrestling video years ago, and he was doing America the Beautiful at the start of this wrestling video.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the middle of the ring, they put a piano in there. He's like, oh no, didn't he? He didn't even have a piano. That's bullshit. It was just singing
a cappella.
But no, there was music over the top. But it was, I think, it's a long time ago. It was like either late 80s, early 90s. But it was fucking awesome. He was an awesome dude.
That's
just
cool.
like flamboyant as fuck. What a dude.
He's a genuine legend, man. Genuine legend. What else have we got in the news? I'm literally just flicking through this now.
There's a lot of this band as live streamed performance. This artist has live streamed performance. All this, everybody seems to be COVID partying.
I don't see much of that, but on a similar vein, we talked a lot last week about Post Malone doing that Nirvana thing. And it's not in response to that, because it's for his new record. But Dave Ellison, ex of Megadeth,
right?
He's the long-standing bassist with Megadeth, and he was recently. I mean, he did leave at one point, and he came back, or he was fired, and he came back. Who knows? I don't remember. But he is covering a Post Malone tune on his next record. A tune called Over Now. Are you familiar with that? Do you know it?
Not off the top of my head, but I mean, I'm half asleep, so.
I know nothing about Post Malone. What else is happening? I mean, looking at this.
Pantera released a social distancing t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Raised $100,000.
Power. Yeah,
it was, be yourself, by yourself, stay away from me. With a picture of
stay the fuck away from me.
Stay with a glove on, and like a fist punch in the face. It looks pretty cool.
It was good, man. There is one piece of news that I thought was quite interesting. Arkansas are going to be hosting the first socially distanced concert, like live show, next week.
Do people have to stand in their own designated boxes?
I'm not entirely sure.
Is it an entirely seat? Maybe it's a seated venue.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the seating plan now. Let me have a quick. So, according to the picture, they're in groups of 5,
right?
And no one is. So each group of 5 has or 6 or whatever has a row to themselves, and the row in front and behind will be empty.
Right.
You know what I mean? So staggered it. The first 4 rows are all empty. I mean, I don't understand how this will. I'm going to have I'll read it out, because I don't understand how this is a viable option. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Well, you're reading something out. What you're reading out? Why have we stopped recording? No, we haven't stopped recording.
I just heard the noise that says we either are or are not recording.
Well, it's still recording, so why are you jumping shit? It still says in the top right-hand corner, recording.
Shut up.
There's nothing that says it's not recording.
back to business then. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, how is this going to be financially viable? Let's have a look. One of the first socially distanced concerts of the coronavirus pandemic will take place in Arkansas next week, and the show's seating arrangements give fans a look at how live music might work in a post-COVID-19 world. Travis McCready, frontman of the country rock outfit Bishop Gun, will perform a solo acoustic show at the concert next Friday, on May 15th, at Fort Smith's Temple Live venue. However, as Billboard has reported, the concert audiences will be sectioned off into groupings of what Ticketmaster is calling fan pods. These fan pods are sets of 2 to 12 seats placed together at least 6 feet apart from others, and they must be purchased in tandem. Accordingly, Temple Live's usual 1,100 capacity will be reduced by 80% to just 229 available seats. All attendees are required to wear face masks, which will be available for purchase, and fans will have their temperature taken when they arrive at the venue.
Anally.
That, hopefully. Bathrooms at the concert will have a 10-person limit. No touch soap and paper towel dispenser. I mean, I like the idea that that people are still putting gigs on, but what do you think about that? Like, because a band makes money by playing live.
Yeah.
How much fucking money can they make? I mean, this is a small venue. This is 1,100 people capacity. But I mean, that's small. 1,100. We've played to bigger crowds than that.
They've got to be, they've still got to make some money from it, right? I mean, I guess they just got to spend less on the actual show itself.
You'd think so. I mean, I would imagine that this has been organized. This can't have been a gig that was already sold out, and now they've decided, well, 80% of people can't come because the tickets are bought in tandem, as it said, and things like that. So I'd assume this is being organized. Doesn't mention it in here, but I would imagine it's some kind of charity show or something. So they're doing it to promote that idea. But I just don't see how anyone's going to make any money out of that. And no, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I say, I like the idea, but it's a business. What band is going to make money out of playing to a 20% audience of the, like I say, small arena? But it says here that they're saying this is a look at how live music could work in future. Well, that's just not viable. Bands just won't go on tour, surely.
I guess it depends on how much they're spending on tickets.
Do you think that'll be the case?
I don't know. I mean, it's an option, isn't it? I don't imagine they'll charge however much percent extra per ticket, but
because that would really restrict who can see a band.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know.
That's fucking crazy.
If the option is not having any gigs and not making any money, bands don't make money from recording anymore, really. They've got to make money from merch and ticket sales. So how are you going to make money from merch and ticket sales if you can't gig?
Yeah, true.
Hey, what about this?
What about what?
Marty Friedman says his long-awaited documentary will hopefully come out next year. Do you think it'll be anything like Corey Feldman's upcoming documentary?
I hope so. I'd love to see Marty Friedman dressed as Jacko.
Yeah, saying he's possibly, been molested.
Yeah, man. Didn't Corey Feldman, because he has a reputation for being a touch on the fucking batshit crazy side, doesn't he?
He's walking the line, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's something going on there. But didn't he claim to be? It was something ridiculous, like he was. He wasn't the Corey Feldman who people knew as a child. Like he's someone else in that body, or he's from space.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's ridiculous. Like Paul McCartney got killed in the 60s, and they replaced him with a second one.
Yeah, because that would have been worthwhile. What? I mean, conspiracy theories are just for fucking idiots.
But look, his nose bends a slightly different way. It's not the same guy.
Oh, fuck me. Fuck me.
Yeah. Hey, did you see that Goonies thing?
No, man. What's that? Hit me.
So like the guy who does Olaf's, you know, Frozen, the
Josh Gad, wasn't it?
Josh Gad, yeah. So he put all of the Goonies, the cast that are still alive, back together.
No way.
And it's on YouTube at the moment, and they just had
I'm gonna check that out.
Like an interviewee type thing, and then did some lines out of it and stuff. It was nostalgia central. But I was just, obviously Sloth wasn't there and Mama Fratelli wasn't there, but everybody else, I'm pretty sure everyone else was there.
Who would be dead? Mama Fratelli's got to be dead. She was like 100 when that film came out.
I think that's it, man. I think that's the only two that aren't.
Who did you say? Mama Fratelli and
Sloth. He died. He was like a drug addict or something.
Really? Because Corey Haim's dead as well, isn't he?
Yeah, but Corey Haim's not in the Goonies.
Isn't he?
No.
I thought
he's in Lost Boys.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, he was like an American football player, the guy that played Sloth, I think. And I think he had like drug problems, and that's why he wasn't in the NFL anymore.
Right.
And then I think it carried on. He had problems, and eventually, like, I'm not sure if it was like drug related from having been on a lot of drugs at one point and it just like ravaged him, or whether he overdosed or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure it was drug related.
Right.
Somehow. But that was like ages ago that happened. I'm not sure about when Mama Fratelli died, but that was probably a while ago too.
I'd imagine so. That bitch was old back then. She looks like one of them people that was born fucking old.
Yeah, she looked like she'd had a hard life.
Yeah, man. She was an acquired, not an acquired taste. She was an actress who would only fit very specific roles.
She was a typecast type.
Definitely. But more power to her. She made some fucking coin out of it. And
yeah, man.
The Goonies alone cemented her in fucking pop culture history, didn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, fucking more power to them. I'm totally gonna look that up though.
Yeah, man. But sorry, my brain's all over the place. That's why I keep jumping from like subject to subject. But if I don't say it, like when I'm saying it, it's gone forever.
No, that's cool, man. Because I am planning on necking a load of this IPA. The first one's done.
Cool.
It's really good. Phil brought
Dead Soldiers.
Excuse me?
It's what you call empty beer, isn't it? Dead Soldiers.
I've never heard that, but I'm going to refer to it now.
Yeah.
All the time. So we have one man down straight away.
Yeah.
Phil brought me, I fixed up a couple of his guitars. So he came to pick a couple up today, and we stayed at a socially acceptable distance. But he brought me some Hebden Bridge Brewery Life and Death IPA.
Vocation, I think the brewery's called, is it?
Yeah, well, that's
the brand.
That's what I can't work out. It says Hebden Brewery on it, or Hebden Bridge. It's got a logo for Hebden Bridge.
Yeah.
But then it's called Vocation Life and Death, so I can't really work it out.
Maybe like it's like, so Hebden Bridge Brewery, maybe Vocation is like the brand of beer, and the I don't know, like the particular brew is Life and Death.
Finer, but it's good. It's good.
Pop a clack.
There we go, my man. There we go. So, I think that's the news handled. What have you been listening to, man? What have you been up to? What have you been doing? What's been the crack?
I have been listening to, well, obviously some Heaven Shall Burn.
Yeah, man.
I have been listening to some. Do you know what? I was listening to Cher.
Okay.
And I was listening to Michael Bolton. Right. I was listening to specifically the album Heart of Stone, which has I think it has Jesse James on it. It has If I Could Turn Back Time. It's like the big classic 80s one.
We're talking like 86, 87?
Yeah, possibly 85, possibly. But anyway, mid 80s. It was
89.
like really that late.
Yeah, just looked it up. Heart of Stone, Cher, 89.
But it's like the big 80s one. She came after she'd had like the whole big in the 70s.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, like Kiss to Kiss and All Because of You's on this. I know those two tracks.
The big jams, and then
yeah.
After that, I put on. I was listening to quite a lot of Michael Bolton. Not gonna lie, massive Michael Bolton fan. But so I put on. Which was the first album I put on? Shit, I'm gonna have to Google the albums. I'm sorry, my brain's just asleep. Bolton.
Hello.
Oh, hello. What's up with you?
Fuck.
Where have you gone?
Hello.
Hello. What's going on? I can hear you, Dave.
Oh, there we go. You're back.
Where did I go?
I don't know. You had that. You just had a strange ring on your voice, and I was hearing like every other word, and then it got less and less, and you were gone completely.
Okay. Well, I'm here now. I'm back.
Sweet. So yeah, I'm assuming everything you just said about that Cher record was recorded, but I just didn't hear it.
I don't know. Let's say it again anyway. Right. Cool. So I was listening to the album Heart of Stone by Cher, which has all like the big 80s tunes on it. And then I followed that up with Time, Love and Tenderness by Michael Bolton. But then
I like me some Michael Bolton. Which record is that? Tell me. I'm going to look that up.
Time, Love and Tenderness. It's got Love is a Wonderful Thing on it. It's got Time, Love and Tenderness, obviously. When a Man Loves a Woman's on it.
When a Man Loves a Woman is a fucking
and bomb. Steel Bars. Steel Bars is a fucking great tune. But yeah. And then I went onto the album Soul Provider, right? So Soul Provider is the one that has How Can We Be Lovers and stuff like that, and how am I supposed to live without you, right?
Oh, what a tune!
Have you ever heard the song When I'm Back on My Feet Again?
I'm going to put it on right now.
I'm not sure if it's a cover because it sounds like it would be a cover.
This is Michael Bolton record, Soul Lovers, yeah?
Yeah. No, Soul Provider, sorry.
Soul Provider.
Yeah.
Michael Bolton. There we go, 99. But also 1989.
Yeah, well, this brings me on to the weird point. Okay, so on that album, there is a song called... Where are we? Which one is it?
You Wouldn't Know Love. When I'm
You Wouldn't Know Love.
Again. It's on the one? No way. I randomly picked that out.
So, the song You Wouldn't Know Love. Now, check out the album Heart of Stone by Cher.
Heart of Stone by Cher. Hold on a minute. So, do I need to listen to this track first and then go back and listen to the Heart?
If you just open up and look at the track listing.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that now on the Soul Provider record.
Yep. And then on the Heart of Stone. Yep, on the Heart of Stone album.
Heart of Stone. Let me go back to my recent searches. Because that Cher record will be the last one. Time, Love and Tenderness, yeah? No, fuck, that was another Michael. Heart of Stone, sorry.
Yep.
You Wouldn't Know Love.
Yep.
Track 3. Is it the same track?
It's the exact same track. From what I remember, in fact, it is literally like a karaoke. So as if somebody's got the track, sent it to both of them, said, hey, do a version of this. And then they've gone, okay. And then they've both released it.
Does it sound like the same backing then?
I think so, from what I remember. Because I remember...
I'm going to have to listen, man.
I remember the Michael Bolton tune coming on and me thinking... Shit, I know this song. I must not have liked it.
Accidentally.
No, I thought I must not have liked it very much because I didn't remember Michael Bolton doing it. And then the chorus kicked in. I was like, "What the?" Yeah.
We'll be covered by fair usage if I play it in the background for like less than 8 seconds or something. We'll be all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, fuck it. I'm going to hold it up to the mic then. So I'm just rolling a cig. Right, I'm on it. Here we go.
Okay. So which one's this first?
This. Well, I won't say, actually. You tell me. So let's see if they say... Is there a vocal in it straight away, or is there like an intro?
I can't remember because it was like 3 or 4 days ago. And it was just like one blast through, so...
Let's try it out, man. I'll make sure the volume's up. Right. That's 80s.
That sounds... It sounds like Cher to me.
I'm saying nothing.
Okay, now try the other one.
Yeah, now I'm going to go back to the old search bullshit. What record was it on?
Well, it depends which person you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, of course. I've just kind of given it away, haven't I? Yeah, that's not the same backing.
It's pretty fucking similar, though, isn't it? Like,
exactly. It's the same song.
It's the same song.
She's more. You were right. The first one was Cher. This one's Michael Bolton. But this has got guitars in it. The last one just sounded like synth. You hear that?
I think maybe they both have guitars. Maybe the mix is different.
Yeah, I think the mix is. I mean, Michael Bolton. God, I've never thought I'd say this. Michael Bolton has got like a heavier
rocks
edge.
Hard.
Yeah, he's got a heavier edge than Cher. You know, why are we talking about Michael Bolton and Cher?
It was a weird thing.
Because
it was a weird thing, man. It was just like a weird thing.
It is
like,
weird when that happens.
It was weird that it happened. That like I was listening to one album and then the next album, pretty much that I listened to was that, and that happened. And it wasn't like none of the track listings or anything. Nothing led me to listening to Michael Bolton other than I was like, I fancy listening to Michael Bolton right now.
Yeah, just random. What's even stranger is that both those records came out in the same year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose it makes it less weird in a way because, like I say, I don't think, or maybe one of them wrote the song, and sold it to the other one.
I'm going to look up the song. I'm going to see what the connection is there. You wouldn't know love. You wouldn't.
You wouldn't know love if it walked through your door. You didn't know it, then you wouldn't know it before.
Have you ever noticed Wikipedia changes its fucking rules on you over and over again? Like,
how do you mean?
So I just thought, right, I'm just going to go on Wikipedia and type "you wouldn't know love" because it'll find. Hopefully, it'll find something. Well, I didn't put the apostrophe in "wouldn't" because I assumed autocorrect to do it,
and it's just said that I haven't found it,
so it wouldn't find the song. But in the past, I've completely misspelt titles of films, and it's known exactly what I'm looking for. But the lack of an apostrophe. Here we go.
Oh, written by Michael Bolton and Diane
Warren.
Man.
Right, yeah. Okay. There we go. You Wouldn't Know Love is a song written by Michael Bolton and Diane Warren, appearing contemporaneously.
Sure.
Is that a word? I'm dyslexic. I don't know if I said that right.
Yeah, it sounds
Did I say it right? Yeah.
Yeah.
In 1989, on Bolton's Soul Provider and Cher's Heart of Stone album. So it's planned. It seems it was planned. He wrote it.
And then she released it. She released it as a single in 1990 in Europe and Australasia. But the
song was only released as a single in Europe and Australia by Cher.
But yeah, I don't know whether it was like me being subconsciously sexist, but I had a feeling if one of them had written it would be Michael Bolton. But I don't think it was a sexist thing. I'm more aware of Cher doing a lot more not a lot more cover work. More of her stuff is not written by her.
Yeah, well, I mean, Michael Bolton produced it for Cher as well, to be fair. I mean, he was obviously produced his own. Steve Lukather played the solo.
Lukather!
Yeah, man. That's pretty fucking cool.
It's not even that great a solo from what I remember. I remember thinking
Steve Lukather played it. It is.
No, I remember listening to it and thinking there's a solo in there, but not thinking it's not Jump or anything. It's not like Beat It. It's not like a standout like solo that makes me think, holy shit, that's the 80s right there. That solo. Oh my god, that solo. You know, like Eddie Van Halen anytime he subbed in.
Do you know the weird connection between Eddie Van Halen and Steve Lukather is Beat It?
Yeah.
Because Michael Jackson's Beat It, the solo is Eddie Van Halen.
But and in the riff is not.
Well, in the video, I might be wrong, but I think Eddie Van Halen's in the video. And he fucking riffs this solo. And it's the thing is when you listen to it as well, like it's totally Eddie Van Halen. No,
It's crazy.
You know it's him, and it's an awesome solo, and it's totally his style. But because of that, people always assume that all the guitar part, and you could ask 1 million people, and I'll bet only a small percentage of them would not tell you. Like if you just asked who played the guitar line in Beat It, anyone who thinks they know, 9 out of 10 of them, they'll be telling you it's Eddie Van Halen.
Apart from if you ask Michael Jackson would have said that it was him. Did you ever see him talking about like how he
no,
he,
what?
Like he used to
he
like
even had a guitar on stage.
I can't remember what song it was he was talking about. He was saying like he wrote bass lines like for Billie Jean and stuff like that. He was saying like he wrote the
bass line for Billie Jean, one of the most iconic bass lines in history.
Yeah, it was like there was a documentary I was watching. It wasn't a Louis Theroux, was it? Maybe, but it was just
maybe Martin Bashir. He did a Michael.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, but yeah, it was.
That didn't end well.
No, and he was in the studio, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, we're just in the studio," and then I came up with this ding 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 ding. I was like, "Did you really? Did you?"
You know what? I wouldn't
was
be
that
surprised.
You,
I wouldn't be surprised if he said to someone, "I've got this tune in my head," and it goes dun 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 dun. But it would have been different. And then someone who knew music picked up a bass guitar and was like, something like this, dun dun dun, and he'll have had it in a different meter, and he'll have had it in a different groove. And no, even musically, it will have been different. And a real bass player would, or a real musician, or Quincy Jones. Let's be honest, Quincy Jones said, "Fucking right. Well, I don't like what you just did, but it's given me an idea." That's as far as it went. Because Quincy Jones wrote like all his big hits.
Pretty much. And I mean, I guess that's kind of the thing that's always annoyed me when people go, "Oh yeah, I think." I mean, the term better is very subjective anyway, but people who tell me that Michael Jackson's better than Prince, and I'm like, I'd like to disagree completely in every sense.
It's weird, is that, because I know you saw it actually. I saw you commented on it. I had a very brief argument with a dude on Facebook earlier. So I'm part of this. I'm not much of a drummer, but I play drums. And one of the admins on this Facebook drummers community, I think the group's called, well, I went to school with him. So he invited me to join the group. And I told him, like, I haven't played drums in years. You know what I mean? I won't know what half of these people are talking about. I have no knowledge of technique. I'm a guitarist that can hold a beat. That's as far as my drumming goes. But I joined the group, and I very, very rarely chime in at all on that group. But someone today asked the question, who do you think are the most overrated drummers? And I said, as I might add, a total Zeppelin fanboy. I was brought up on Zeppelin. My fucking dog's called Zeppelin. I'm a massive Zeppelin fan. I said, I think John Bonham is overrated.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I am not nearly as big a Zeppelin fan as you. It's kind of similar to how I am with Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, in that I appreciate their contribution and I like a few of their songs.
So basically all I did was say, I think John Bonham's overrated, but I did it in a very polite way, in which I said, I'm a huge Zeppelin fan, and I think John Bonham was awesome for that band, and he made Zeppelin sound, him and, well, every member of that band, it's one of those bands where no member could have been replaced and they would have sounded the same.
Well, I think that's because there's so few of them in the band, isn't it? Like, you know, it's not like a band with two guitarists where you could trade them out. Because
but I mean, Jimmy Page is one of those guitarists where when you hear him play, you know it's Jimmy Page. And Robert Plant had that voice that is, I'm not saying it again, he's not the best in the world, but he is, Robert Plant is a singer who you can't mistake him for anyone else. You know what I mean?
No, but
John Paul Jones, his addition to that, he wasn't just a bass player.
It's kind of what I'm saying though.
He
like,
played all
think
the
about
mandolins. He played the bouzouki. They all had a hand in writing the songs, and Bonham was the same. Like that driving force behind it, and that fucking unbelievable groove. It was almost inhuman the amount of groove that man had.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, so you've got all of that. There's only 4 of them. It's like you pick any band that's got like either only 4 members or they've got each member plays an individual instrument so they can concentrate on that thing. And more often than not, that's when you get your individual sounds. Because if somebody's playing guitar and singing at the same time, it's difficult to kind of make one or the other stand out particularly. Apart from, Hetfield's rhythm playing, it's...
Yeah, I mean, there are 1 or 2 others, like Matt Bellamy from Muse, you know what I mean? You look at what he's doing, and the band would be different if they had a guitarist and him just singing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. The less people there are in a band, the harder it is to replicate what they've like encapsulated as a band.
Yeah.
But my only point about Bonham, it was simply that Bonham had this inhuman groove, and he was a powerhouse. Like he was a hard hitter, and he perfectly complemented what Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones were doing musically. I love the man and I love the band, but when people say like he was the best drummer in the world, I have to question it, because to me at least, again, it's really subjective, but to me at least, the word best would say plays the instrument better than anyone else, as in it mastered every technique, mastered every style. Well,
you can say
Bonham.
Yeah, you can say my favorite. My favorite is very different to the best.
Exactly. So I wouldn't say I was playing devil's advocate, but I did kind of go against my own preference and say I think John Bonham is overrated when people call him the best, because
right. Hang on a minute.
That's not a term that I would personally say applies to what he did. He was the best at what he did.
I think. Hey, do you want to talk about these albums that I've forced myself to listen to for some stupid reason this week?
Yeah, man. I think we probably should, because I don't know what I've been listening to this week. Anyway, I've been listening to this. No, it's all right. I was just trying to write a message to Wayne at this, or make a note of what I need to send to Wayne for editing notes and whatnot. So yeah, what have I been listening to this week? I listened to the new Trivium record's really cool.
Is it very Trivium, or is it kind of different?
I personally think, in terms of style, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's very Trivium. I think would be. Yeah, if I had to put it like,
because I dug it in like the Ascendancy kind of era, but shortly after that, I
think it's the best record. I think it's So if you look at their records, I won't lie, I am not really au fait on like the last 7 or 8 years of their work, but In Waves wasn't a bad record. Well, in fact, it was pretty fucking good. After Ascendancy, they did Shogun and The Crusade. I can't remember which order they came in. I wasn't a big fan of either, so I kind of switched off after Ascendancy. I think like a lot of people did. But Ascendancy is a fucking out-and-out start-to-finish killer. Like, there is not a moment on that record that isn't excellently written. And this new record, it's called What the Dead Men Say, and I think I listened to it twice through this week, and I don't know what you're like, but if I only listen to a record once, I feel like I haven't grasped it. You know what I mean? There's going to be shit I've missed.
Yeah, I mean, I usually, if I'm listening to something when it's during the week, it will just be something I've listened to before. So for me to listen to something new is rare, but when I do, I tend to listen to it a couple of times in a row, like you say. Because, I mean, back in the day when we used to consume things very differently, I used to listen to a CD on repeat because I'd have, maybe one new CD a month or something like that. So I'd listen to that like 10 or 15 times, and then maybe go back to my old CDs or whatever, and then
I think it's circumstance as well. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Like it's you're exposed in different ways, and then once you've been exposed, you consume it in a way it was more novel back in the day. Like it was a new thing, was newer for longer.
Yeah, it was because you didn't have the access that you have now. Whereas now it's kind
Exactly.
of throwaway almost. But I don't like treating stuff that I don't know like that. So if I have something and I find something, I will listen to it a few times because, like you say, it's partly because I don't think I've picked everything up out from the album that you would on a second or a third listen. But also,
yeah, exactly.
like you feel like hooks get stuck in your head, not necessarily the first time you listen, but after you've listened a few times, once you've kind of started differentiating the tracks and stuff. So once you can kind of differentiate the tracks, you pick them apart and you're like, yeah, I like that one. That's my tune. Whereas like especially with these ones we're listening to this week, I've struggled, man, to find ones that stand out. But anyway, you were saying about Trivium.
Yeah, well, oddly enough, this leads us nicely onto, because obviously, like in your job, you're walking all the time. It's a good excuse to listen to tunes.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. I'm in the truck all the time, so I can listen to shit all day. If it's one of them days where I've only got one job, but I've got to do a 400-mile round trip, I spend most of my day listening to shit. And I listen to a lot of podcasts because I find there's only so much music I can listen to. But this week had been quite different. I've hardly touched a podcast apart from once. And it was an odd, I mean, it's just a coincidence, but it was an odd, like, incestuous relationship between your music and the podcast. So as we're going to move on to shortly, we're looking at two Heaven Shall Burn records.
Yeah.
This week. I needed a break from that because as we'll move on to, exactly as you just said, there's not much of a standout. It's almost like one long song when you put that record on there. There's very little difference. I mean, we'll move on to that, but I needed a break basically. So I put the new Trivium record on, which I'd listened to at the back end of last week. So this week was like my second listen. And then I listened to it twice through this week. And I really enjoyed it. But because I'd been listening to that, I then found a Matt Heafy interview on the Metal Hammer podcast.
All right.
And he didn't actually talk too much about this new record. I had assumed, and if I'm honest, that's kind of why I went looking for it. I had assumed that it was going to be, he was being interviewed about the new record.
Yeah.
But the whole interview was about his influences when he was writing Ascendancy.
Okay.
And Heaven Shall Burn was one of his biggest influences while he was writing Ascendancy. So I was like, wow, that's weird how it's taken me full circle. Now I'm looking for different things. When I had another listen through to those two Heaven Shall Burn records, it was like, right now I'm hearing different things that he was talking about. And it gave me a different, I wouldn't say a different appreciation, but it certainly it allowed me to look at those two records from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Which was very cool. I mean, what would you describe Trivium as? Because I just call them metal, but I guess they're metalcore, I guess.
Well, they sound, especially on later albums, they sound like they were kind of less inventive. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's something less that doesn't appeal to me as much as
I agree.
Killswitch Engage.
Yeah, do you know what? A Killswitch metalcore.
Yeah, but they call
because
themselves
there's
pussy metal.
There is a huge relation. What's the word? There's a familiarity between Killswitch and Trivium.
Yeah,
that's undeniable. Personally, I'm not a big Killswitch fan.
I love them,
but I do like Trivium.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite way. But I mean, I don't dislike Trivium. It's just I
don't dislike Killswitch. It's just I think we're saying the same thing from the from the opposite side. But what amazed me was, because you know me, I'm not very good at this labeling thing. Putting a label on a specific like subgenre of metal. If I like it, I like it. It's that simple. But if you say to me like, what kind of band did you think that was? I'd be like, well, it was a good one. a heavy one. You know what I mean? But
some kind of metal.
What I did find with Heaven Shall Burn is that almost straight away, even I identified this. I think this is metalcore. It's a bit harder than metalcore, like it's a bit more extreme. But those are hardcore vocals in places.
The newer album,
and there's some really hardcore beats and drum patterns and riffage in places. But no, it was just weird how it brought me around that like full circle from Trivium, Heaven Shall Burn to Trivium to an interview where he talked about Heaven Shall Burn.
Yeah,
and that put me back onto listening to them. And it was. I guess we should, because that's basically all I've listened to. Heaven Shall Burn, Trivia. Oh no, I tell a lie. He also talked about some of his other influences he mentioned, specifically around writing Ascendancy. Are you familiar with, Death, obviously, Chuck Schuldiner. He talked about the Death record. Oh fuck, what's it called? It's Sounds of Perseverance.
Mm-hmm. Why have you got Michael Bolton playing?
I just hit the wrong button. I was just going to look up Death on Spotify and find the name of that record, but I suddenly remembered it.
But you straight up hit up when I'm back on my feet again by Michael Bolton.
As if you knew exactly what that was as well.
I love that, man.
But it's the iPads, the Dave Pad's at a distance from the mic. I could barely even hear
it. I love that song, man. It's just powerful.
Oh man, I am gonna put some Bolton on later. I love his voice, but yeah. So he mentioned Death, the Sound of Perseverance, that record, which was one of their last, I think, off the top of my head. Scream Bloody Gore was like 1989, something like. Whoa, 1989 has come up a lot.
Good year.
Especially if you are... Sounds of Perseverance was 1998. Well, it says that's a reissue. I can't tell. What the fuck? Oh, no. Scream Bloody Gore was 1987, which is a good record on its own. Sound of Perseverance, it was 1998. Now, I listened to that straight through start to finish. And it's a record that doesn't have track breaks in between. Right. So it's like you don't know when one song's ended and another one started.
Mm-hmm.
But you never get confused when you're listening to it. And it's a great record. The other one he mentioned was Warp Zone by Martyr, who are a French-Canadian, I guess you call them progressive metal. It's jazz detuned with fuckloads of drive and screaming.
Okay.
But it's mind-bending to listen to. Like, honestly, I would advise, I don't care if you're into metal or not, have a listen to the band Martyr. It was a record from, I think, about 2000. It's called Warp Zone. And from start, like literally from the first note you hear, your brain just starts turning to shit. It's fucking incredible, but it's hard work.
Yeah.
Like I got maybe half an hour into the record and I was tired. Like I had to turn it off. But it's a great record. It really is cool. But that's what I've been listening to this week. And obviously, as I guess we'll move on to now, a lot of Heaven Shall Burn. So hit me with some Heaven Shall Burn knowledge and opinions.
Well, I mean, knowledge-wise, it was just a band that I remembered listening to around the time the other album we listened to came out, about 2008, 2009. And I remembered him as more of a hardcore band, like a metal-y hardcore band, yeah?
Right, there we go. Sorry, I lost you again then. It's not
right.
you.
What do you keep fucking about with? All right.
I've got a dodgy lead on my cans.
Okay, don't move then.
Yeah, I'm trying to... So, sorry, yeah, what were you saying?
Right. Let me get this off my chest immediately. If there's one thing that anybody needs to know about me, it's I fucking hate repeating myself. Catherine will tell you this, that she'll say, sorry, what was that, love? And I'll be like, nothing. and all of a sudden I want to kill everybody. But yeah, right, okay. So basically, what I was saying was, I don't. Heaven Shall Burn is not like a band that's, you know, consistently on my radar or anything like that.
No,
but it's
because this was your choice, of course.
Yeah. It was. I basically went through the new metal releases, this year's most recent kind of metal releases and stuff.
Right.
I thought I'll have a listen and see, or have a look and see what kind of stands out. And like I say, I remembered Heaven Shall Burn from when, like, the other album that we were listening to, 2008. I kind of
Iconoclast.
Yeah, I kind of remembered listening to that.
We should. Sorry to interrupt. We should say the two records that we were listening to.
Of Truths and Sacrifice is the newest release, and then Iconoclast Part 1.
Yeah, which is confusing in itself because there is no Part 2, but the
record,
record that followed it in 2010 was Invictus, and then in brackets it was Iconoclast Part 3. So that confuses shit out of me. Yeah,
I wonder. I don't know what I wonder. I don't care anyway. But yeah, so I listened to the new album first, and I kind of wish I hadn't. I kind of wish I'd listened to the old one first to kind of get me in the mood for it, because that's the sound that I remembered, like almost like a hardcore band.
Yeah, completely. That's. I did listen to them in that order, but did you had experience of them before? I assume.
Yeah, just from when I was like a mosher back in the day, I was listening to anything kind of heavy with screamy vocals, and I used to like, you know, consistently screamy vocals. When people were trying to put singing in things, it used to piss me off sometimes. But, you know, because I was like, it doesn't fit there. But
yeah, if you want it heavy, you just want it fucking heavy.
Yeah, but like I said, I was listening to Of Truth and Sacrifice first. The first thing I noticed was basically every time he opens his mouth, the same sound in the same kind of rhythm is coming out of his face. Yeah. And it gets very draining after a while. I want something different. I need some flavor on top of.
Yeah, I found the same.
I mean, it's a cool sound he's making, but it's the only sound he's making. It's not like, you know, when we were talking about Heart of a Coward last week, Jamie has like range vocally, like his singing range, his screaming range, everything. It's just all power and range. He's got, you know, the whole package.
But the difference is it's for the song.
Yeah.
Like it's whatever melody or scream he's written, whatever that part of that song demanded, he could supply the goods.
Whereas this guy is like a piano part, and he's just like playing over a piano part. He's doing these screams over the top, these like death growls over the top that don't really fit.
My only experience of them before this week, to me, they were a band. I was surprised actually when I was looking it up and stuff, you know, as we were listening to it. I knew the name, and I'm like, where do I know that name from? And I've looked through the discography, and they did a record in 2000 called Asunder, which is a record that I'm familiar with. And I was surprised it was 2000 because I thought that was like a mid-90s jam. So I was thinking, shit, this is because so for anyone who doesn't know, they're like, as we kind of previously talked about, they're kind of metalcore. They're more extreme than that. I don't know what you'd call it, but there's an obvious hardcore element to it.
Yeah,
but there's also,
I seem to remember him playing on hardcore.
There's like, something more extreme. I don't know if there's a subgenre for that, or
they were like when they were playing gigs and stuff. I mean, I assume they still are, but back in the day when they were playing gigs, I think they tended to be playing.
So yeah, for anyone doesn't know, Heaven Shall Burn are like a German, I guess, metalcore band, but there's something more extreme about it.
Yeah.
But I was honestly surprised to find that record I remember was from 2000. I thought they were going back earlier than that. They've just got, I don't know, they just come across, in my mind at least, as a band who have been doing this longer than 20 years. But didn't you find that there were some moments when, like, it's obvious they're German? There's like there's this, but it's not industrial as such. It's just that really obvious European sound.
Yeah, well, there was industrial elements. There was like random like techno beats popping up everywhere and stuff like that. But I mean, when he goes like hardcore German as well, there's this bit that sounds like a Hitler rally at one point when he's like shouting over the top of something.
That is on,
because he starts off in English and then he goes into German by the end of it as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's on the new record, isn't it? That was called.
It's the second half. I think. Do you know? I think there was there's a.
I think that was it. That was My Heart in the Ocean. I
possibly.
think that was called, which was on the newer record of Truth and Sacrifice.
There's a point on the album where I think it's like the first kind of like mellow piano breakdown kind of moment. It's and it just after that, there's all of a sudden there's a change and it feels like it got better and more interesting. Like
this is the second record. The Truth and Sacrifice.
Of Truth and Sacrifice, yeah. Because what I noticed, like, to begin with, was it's super fucking long. Like, the intros to all the songs and the songs themselves they all feel really long. I'm used to hardcore metal kind of songs being 2.5 to 3.5 kind of minutes. For this kind of music.
That's it, because there's no.
It's hard to keep it interesting for much longer.
Yeah, like if Periphery do a 7-minute, what was that tune called? Reptile on Hail Stan. 14 minutes or something.
All sorts of shit going on there.
Yeah, you don't know it's 14 minutes long because it's almost operatic in its structure, in its delivery. There's not much going on in these songs other than they're very much like what you see is what you get. It's all on the surface. There's no deeper meaning to it. And then on top of that, there's no variation in the literal sounds that you're hearing. There's no dynamic.
No, it gets exhausting after a while, I think.
So I listened to the first Iconoclast. I say the first one first. It's the older one of the two that we chose.
It's not the first album by any means.
No,
it was like one of the more popular releases, I think, was the reason I went for it.
It came across to me like one of my biggest problems with that was there were some really weird production choices with it that for us, like we were just saying, so the music itself is kind of unwavering, which for its genre, for what it's doing, that's not a what's the word? I'm not criticizing. It's not a criticism. That's just that kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
That record felt longer than it was.
Yeah,
Iconoclast, because it's unwavering.
Yeah, it's an hour-long album, which is long for a hardcore type album, a metal.
Yeah, completely. Album. But it really took some listening. Like it's tiring to listen to, and there were certain production choices that I don't know if were on behalf of the band or the producer. I meant to look into who produced both of these records to see like have they been working with the same producer all the time, and this was just an odd one, or what? But I don't know if you noticed the guitars were EQ'd to a point that there was no note definition in places. It was like it was all mids, and because of that, you're physically attempting, you're consciously trying to hear what's being played. And that alone makes one song tiring. An hour of that.
Yeah.
And you are like, your ability to hear detail has gone, So for that style of music, to EQ the guitars like that seemed a really weird choice for me. But on top of that, and if it was on its own, it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. But coupled with that thing he'd done with the guitars, on the drums, all of the cymbals, because there was this weird low end to the drums that meant it was interfering with the low mid of the guitars. It was just kind of mushy in places, but you could hear what was being played on the drums. But all of the hardware on the drums, every cymbal, the hats and everything, they were all panned extreme left and toppy as fuck. Like it was distracting every time you hit a cymbal. You're already struggling to hear any detail in the guitar. And then a cymbal would come in and it was audibly on one side of your head. Yeah. And it was so toppy, it felt like it was on top of you. It's like you were wearing it like a hat. It was just the oddest mixing choice I've ever noticed for myself, without someone pointing out, oh, this is an interesting mix. Do you see?
Yeah, well, I guess that kind of shows that it obviously stood out.
Oh, it stood out. Fucking, it was in neon, man. It was on fire. It's like it was just such an odd choice. And I wouldn't say it was like amateur, because it comes across as an intentional thing, like they wanted it to sound that way. I just can't for a fucking second think why you would want it to sound that way. And what really made it stand out is that on the new record, the Truth and Sacrifice record, that's not the case. So if anything else, as much as Truth and Sacrifice is a longer record, again with that unwavering style, I mean that's more of a musical thing. It was easier to listen to, even though it was longer and it was unwavering. I found it a more comfortable listen. It was easier to get through that record because the mix was, well, I mean, I don't want to say better, but to my ear, better. It was, it was just the mix on Iconoclast just seemed fucking ridiculous, frankly, but also came across as intentional, and it really threw me. Like I had no idea what the fucking hell I was listening to. Am I supposed to be listening to do they not want me to hear the detail in the guitar?
No, well, I mean, you've spoken to me, probably not on the podcast, but like you've spoken to me before about like when you're trying to hear riffs in songs. And you find it like stuff like Dropkick Murphys, it's kind of difficult to pick anything out from it because it's just a load of DS1 and not a lot of anything else. It's just all fizz, and there's not any kind of like.
I mean, does it come from me playing guitar? Do you think?
I don't know. Possibly, because I can listen to Dropkick Murphys and pick out the riff, but I think I'm expecting the riff, so that's why I know what because I listen to them. Outside of learning songs, I have listened to them in the past just for fun. So I'm kind of expecting what's playing. So that's why I'm hearing it. So that's why I could then go and play it on a guitar afterwards. But if it's not kind of, if you're not already kind of deep into it anyway, then it might be like all you hear. I mean, it just sounds like fizz a lot of the time. There's not any definition to the riffing or anything like that. So
it was. Do you know? I don't think it was the guitar tone so much as the tone it had been mixed with.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because this is probably cognitive dissonance on my part. It didn't sound to me like the guitarist had dialed that into an amp, and that was just a recording of his amp. But that's because I would assume that was a mixing choice. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the producer just said, "Look, we're going to do this raw," and those were the sounds that were dialed in, and that's the sounds we got. But it just felt to me like everything that had been played had been muddied up intentionally. And that's why I feel like it was a post thing, because it sounded like that we're going to leave just enough in that you can, if you really fucking try, you can hear all the detail.
Yeah.
But like, it won't slap you in the face. It won't be obvious, because that's not what this band's about.
No.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. This was an observation on just my opinions on it aside. That was just an observation I made when I listened to it. Each time I heard it, and this week I had some pretty long drives, so I did listen to those records twice through each in full. Well, actually, no, I tell a lie. The first time when on the day, I don't remember what day it was, when you suggested it, I listened to the first one, Iconoclast, in full, and then immediately went to Truth and Sacrifice, and I got maybe halfway through, and then I had to stop. It was just too much at that point.
Yeah, well, that's the same problem I had the other way around. But I mean, when I'm looking at the track lengths, they've got like 7 and 8 and 8.5 minute songs, 9 minute. Man, they have no. There's no place in their repertoire to put a 9-minute song in there, but they've gone and done it. I can't. I mean,
see, that's the thing. Where can you imagine being in? If you and me have worked together for a long time, and we've known each other a long time, and we've worked not just in the band we're in now, we've worked together in another band back in the day. Can you imagine if at any point in that I presented you with a song that was 9 minutes, but basically didn't change?
This is
you
it.
Just tell me to stop being a prick.
Like,
that's fucking ridiculous. Unless you're going to have some dynamic in it.
Exactly.
Why does it need to be 9 minutes?
Like Dry County by Bon Jovi, that deserves to be 9 minutes long because that's a start to finish kind of legit masterpiece. Things like November Rain and stuff like that, they should be long songs because they start somewhere and go somewhere.
Exactly. Well, the length of a song shouldn't be judged. It's the quality of the song.
Exactly.
And there is a time when it naturally ends.
Yeah.
If nothing is going to happen to it because it goes the other way, like you say, November Rain. What was the Bon Jovi tune you mentioned?
Dry County. Yeah, it starts off with like this quiet piano piece, and then it builds up, and it's got like this big kind of arena rock fast section in the middle, and then finishes off kind of like with the big kind of reprise of the main chorus and stuff like that. You know, it goes places. There's definite sections, and it all makes sense. And at no point do I think, "Fuck, this is a long song." I just think, "Fuck, that was great." By the end of it, do you know what I mean? Am I guessing? Jesus fucking Christ!
Right, I can hear you on these cans, but I'm swapping cans.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I feel like I'm not going to repeat what I just said, but yeah,
I didn't, but I will listen to it when the podcast comes out.
Okay.
So I missed what you just said, but I'll hear it then. But I might be asking a daft question now. But did you say the Bon Jovi one was called Dry County?
Dry County, yeah.
Right, yeah, I'll make an effort to listen to that. It's not a song I'm familiar with, but
it's awesome. It's I think is it off These Days, maybe?
Oh, that's a great record.
Or it might be on Keep the Faith, actually.
What's that? Keep the Faith's about 1991. Crossroads was like 94.
Yeah, that was the best.
I think it was 90. Yeah, but it had those 2 new tracks on as well, didn't it? These Days was the record that followed it, wasn't it? It was like 95, 96.
And that they're showing me pictures of Keep the Faith album covers, so I'm presuming it's off Keep the Faith. Yeah, I seem to remember it was. Yeah, it's off Keep the Faith.
Again,
that's a 10-minute song. That's 9 minutes 53. But in no time during that song, listening to that song, do I think, shit, that's a really long fucking song. I just think that was awesome.
When you've written something that demands, like I don't know how to word it because I've had a good drink today, but. If you write something that naturally just keeps going, that's fair enough. The time it goes on for is irrelevant if it's still naturally progressing and it's moving to a certain point. And the same goes for a very short song. If you write a song that's only a couple of minutes long, if it's only a minute and a half, but that minute and a half does everything it needs to do.
Exactly. Like Walls of Jericho, they were always a classic one for me. They had like songs that ticked a lot of boxes of that songs a lot longer by other bands would tick, but it does everything that it needs to do in that short space of time. I'm not thinking, oh, that went by too fast. I'm getting everything I need to out of those 2-3 minutes.
Even if you take it out of the heavy realm, well, I guess there's still a rock. Well, back then they were proper punk, but like Green Day, if you look at songs by Green Day, they're basically they've got a very pop sensibility about them. They don't need to be more than like 2.5 minutes a piece. They do everything they need to do in that 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just like
and then
verse, bridge, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus.
Exactly.
Chorus,
there'll be a middle. Exactly. That structure fucking works. That's been proven 1 billion times in history, and it's been proven in basically every song Green Day ever recorded, and it always works. And on the odd occasion that they wanted to do something different, they did it, and it still worked because they didn't push it to a place it didn't need to go. Heaven Shall Burn, I think, have a habit of, I don't know how to put it, but
it's quite self-indulgent, I think.
They push it too far.
Yeah, they're doing it for themselves, I think.
Is that intentional, do you think?
Maybe.
Do you think they know that they're pushing it too far, that people will find this hard to listen to, and that's part of like their aesthetic? That's what they want to do?
Or do you think they just don't know when to end a song?
See, a band who's been doing it 20 years, plus they do have, there's this protest sound to them, like they're angry. And I feel like they want to challenge it. That's what I mean about the mixing decisions on that Iconoclast record. I almost feel like they want you to have a hard time listening to their work.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that is what the thing is. Maybe it's like, this album is supposed to be painful. You're not supposed to enjoy it, you bastards.
To a degree, yeah. I mean, it's that thing where, are they putting the art above the commercial? Like, are they not bothered about selling? They don't want to go platinum. They just want to make a statement.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. It was difficult to listen to, though. Like, it's not because it was bad music. Like, if you're into heavy music, I reckon you'd dig it. Whether or not you would be able to listen to a full record, because I tell you now, I wouldn't have listened to a full record of that if it weren't for this show.
Well, just you know, as a some kind of what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Some kind of benchmark. So the previous album, sorry, the earlier album, Iconoclast, there's no Kerrang review on the Wikipedia for it, but Sputnik Music gave it 4 out of 5. On the newer album, Sputnik Music gave it 4 out of 5. However, Kerrang gave it 2 out of 5. And Kerrang aren't usually massively unfair, I don't think. I mean, obviously they've got their kind of preferences and things like that. So if it's not an album that they would listen to in their spare time, I suppose they're trying to be objective, but ultimately you're still going to have what you're into.
Well, I mean, I guess
like Metal DE gave it 8 out of 10, so they obviously liked it.
DE,
yeah,
German,
exactly. Metal Hammer gave it 6.5 out of 7, which I don't really.
That surprises me. Metal Hammer are reviews I generally trust.
Yeah,
because they come across to me as. I used to say this about bollocks. I used to say this about Empire versus Total Film magazine.
Empire's more trustable.
Well, no, I think it depends on what you want a review to reflect. And
right.
Empire was journalists who were into film, whereas Total Film was film geeks that knew how to write.
Do you know the problem I have with? Do
you see what I mean?
The problem I have with Empire. The problem I have with Empire, like quite often, is because, like you say, you think it's more journos that write about films.
Yeah,
it's like they're trying to be. I don't know if they're trying to be or they just are. They come across quite pretentious, and sometimes they'll give 5 stars and stuff to films because they're arty. But
no, I agree. That's exactly the point I'm making. Is like, I'd rather read a review by someone who's deeply into it but happens to know how to write than someone who is a journalist who ended up with a job. Like, I'm a journalist, so I want to write for the Telegraph, but I ended up writing for Empire.
Yeah, because I've come across films
you know what I mean?
several times. I've come across films in Empire reviews. They've gone 5 stars. I'm like, fuck, let's watch that, and be like, what the fuck did I watch that for? Triangle would be a prime example of that. I really didn't like the Babadook.
Is that the Melissa George movie?
Yeah, man.
Triangle, the one with
on the boat. Yeah,
I thought that was great.
Nah, it's doggers, man. I hated it. I saw it at the cinema.
I loved
it. I basically love everything I watch at the cinema because I love being in the cinema, the environment. It makes me love the film like 10 times more than I would normally.
I 100% agree with that.
But even that couldn't win me out. I was like, I stayed to the end because I was like, I've paid my money. I'm getting my fucking time. But nah.
I really liked that film. I thought it was great. But no, I mean, back to the point about the journo thing. That's why I generally trust Metal Hammer, because I get the impression that the guys shot the dudes who work for Metal Hammer, I think, are genuine metal kids. You know, like they grew up listening to it. That's all. They love it. They genuinely love it. And they love it that much they went into writing about it. They didn't want to be journalists because they wanted to be journalists. They wanted to be journalists because they wanted to write about metal.
I guess it's kind of like we do a podcast because we're into metal. We don't do a podcast. We want to be podcasters, particularly.
Yeah, very much. I mean, what the fuck else would we talk about? There's other things we're into, but if we just wanted to do this because, like, we thought, oh, that'd be cool if we had a podcast. Do you remember a few years back, I sent you a text just saying, dude, we should start a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
And the first thing you said to me, like the immediate reply, sounds cool, but what would we do? And it's like, well, exactly. If you're doing it just because you want to have a YouTube channel, probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Whereas this came around differently. We were approached. Someone asked us. Wayne was, I mean, at the time it was radio, but Wayne said to us, you dudes would be cool on the radio. You should do something. What do you want to do? And we were like, well, the only thing we know about is metal. We should talk about metal.
Yeah. That's it. It's the only thing that me and you both kind of are into that much.
Well, that's why I trust Metal Hammer reviews. It's just that they come across as they just love the genre, they love the culture.
But having listened to that album and seeing that it's got I mean, that's for the newer album. That's got 9 out of 10 from 6.5 out of 7.
I'm not saying I agree with every review they give, but I mean, don't get me wrong. We sound like we've been down on this band and down on these records. They're good. They do exactly what they say on the tin. If you listen to Heaven Shall Burn, this is what you should expect.
But I think
the difference between the casual listen, enjoying it, and what we've done is that we've had to listen to 2 records in full, and it was a fucking slog.
Yeah, I listened to the shorter album a few times because it was more, to me, it was more accessible at least. But the newer album of Truth and Sacrifice, that's like really long. It's like an hour and a half long, and that much of that sound is just exhausting.
It really is. It's genuinely fucking tiring to listen to.
When I'm already walking like 15 miles, it's exhausting.
Hey, dude, I ain't on my feet, but I mean, you know what it's like driving potentially 8-hour round trip.
Yeah.
You know, you're knackered already. You've got a lot to think about. This is tiring shit to listen to. And that's obviously why we found it difficult, is because we've had to listen to them. When did we decide this? Was it Wednesday?
No, it was earlier than that, I think. Was it Monday or Tuesday, I think?
And it's Saturday today.
Yeah.
So in 4 days, we've listened to... I mean, I listened to each one twice, I think.
I mean, I didn't listen to anything really yesterday because I was off work. I haven't really listened to
much
today.
I'm the same.
I listened to the 2017 album from First Blood through yesterday and today a little bit, which is...
Any good?
Yeah, it's cool. It's back to basics with them. They're the first album and that album are kind of similar in the way that they play and the way they write the songs. There was an album in the middle. Let me just find what it was called, so I'm not all fucking maroon. First Blood, not fucking Rambo, you cock. First Blood band wiki, because wiki is where I get all my information from. Discography.
All your information on anything comes from the First Blood band wiki.
Yeah. So,
how long was Nelson Mandela in prison? Let me consult the First Blood band wiki.
Wasn't it like 24 years or something stupid?
I'm fucked if I know.
I don't know. I know that Eddie Izzard did a marathon for every year that he was in prison, didn't he?
Eddie Izzard did. It was either 5 marathons on 5 continents in 5 days or 7. Insert 7 instead of 5. But it was a fucking slog, and I'll bet he needed a kip after.
Yeah, I bet his legs were knackered. Mandela marathons, Eddie Izzard. Here we go. Then on to Cape Town. 27 marathon. He attempted to do 27 marathons in 27 days through South Africa.
Jesus Christ.
As a salute to Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years of his life in prison in his fight against apartheid.
So he tried to run 26 miles 27 times in 27 days.
Like a fucking G. I'm not sure how many. It didn't say how many. Or maybe it does a further up how many he got through. Had to run a double marathon on the 27th day as he spent the 5th day in hospital. What a fucking legend.
So he ran 52 miles in a day.
What a fucking G. Fuck me.
Because he's a tubby dude. He don't look like he could do that. But he's fucking not after that, is he?
And that's the thing. He hadn't even prepared for it. Like, I don't think he'd done any like warm up kind of running for it or anything. I think he just.
How's he not dead?
Because he's Eddie fucking Izzard. He just lives.
That would straight fucking kill me. I swear to God.
He lives off his need to be a little bit
in crazy. High heels and a skirt.
Yeah, but he didn't run in high heels and a skirt because that would be insane.
Oh, fair. Right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he was running in running shoes. But yeah, First Blood. I got into him California 2006. I saw them playing a gig, I think with Hatebreed, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a band you'd assume you'd see him with.
Yeah, well, as I was saying last time, there's kind of like an incestuous kind of thing going on between. So
Hatebreed,
I think Terror's bassist became First Blood's singer. I'm not 100% on that, but I think that's the way it went. And then one or two of members of Terror, Three Gun, the guitarist, he and another one went to Hatebreed. And yeah, anyway, by the by, that's all kind of stuff for another time, I guess. But they released an album called Silence's Betrayal in 2010. Then were pretty quiet until 2017. 2010 album I never really got into. I think they kind of tried to do something a bit more interesting, like not straightforward hardcore, which the other albums had been. And this new one, Rules. Every track on the album Rules is called Rules of Something or Rules for Something.
Is that your recommendation for the week?
Yeah, give it a blast. It's fun. I liked it. Made me want to two-step and punch people. So
I'll check that out. My recommendation for the week, I mentioned it earlier, Warp Zone by Martyr, but it will fuck with your head.
Okay, it'll probably make me want to listen to.
You're not too much for the prog stuff, are you?
Not proggy prog. I like stuff like
this
Primus.
Is beyond prog. This is calling it prog is watering it down. It's fucking jazz.
See, I like things that have jazzy moments, like I say, like Primus, where it's like, you know, Les Claypool is a fucking sick bassist and will throw random chords in everywhere, which is weird for a bassist anyway.
Yeah, man.
But he's,
but it's always in the right place with
exactly, and it's still got that kind of poppiness to it. Like,
because it's just such good fun to listen to.
And it's funky as well. It's got that and always it's not recorded in a way where it's supposed to sound super tight and technical, but you can tell everybody is super proficient on their instrument.
Oh, without a doubt.
And they just kind of blast it out live.
I think Primus are a band who never cared about any kind of success. They just make music that they fucking dig. And they just happen to get, well, not commercial, but they happen to sell records.
Yeah. I think it's back in the 80s and stuff, they were like on bills where they would get noticed.
Yeah, man. They would have played a lot with like Mr. Bungle.
Yeah,
I guess, and
because they were kind of like tying between things like grunge and funk and
they had,
straight up hard rock, Faith No More, that kind of stuff.
I mean, with the Mr. Bungle thing, I guess they had a bit of Faith No More link as well.
Yeah, man.
For fuck's sake. All I hear is you laugh at me. Whenever I say "for fuck's sake," there's like 5 seconds of silence, and then you're in.
Yeah, well, that's probably all that's happening, is because I hear "fuck's sake" and you're deaf.
You big cunt. There we go. Right, I've got you, and I'm holding it in the most awkward fucking position possible. Are you there?
That sounds like most of my sexual experiences.
Anal.
Yeah.
So yeah, standout tracks. Is there anything that you would like commit to memory? Because I've got 2 from each record that I thought, as much of a slog as it was getting through, these are the tracks that made it easier. If I was going to return, these are the ones I'd go back to.
There's nothing especially that was standing out, loads. I
mean, it's tough to find standout tracks in records like these.
Yeah, because that's it. By the time the good ones come around, I'm already tired of it. So.
Yeah, that's it. So they hit you with less impact.
Yeah,
because it's more of the same.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling Expatriate was maybe one, but I don't really 100% remember. No, you give me yours. Or don't.
I would say. Have you got me?
Yeah.
I know you've got me. Have I got you?
I don't know. Have you? I'd say that's a no.
Right, I think I've got you. I would say on Iconoclast.
Yeah.
There is a song on Iconoclast called "A Dying Ember" that I thought was really good.
Right.
It was a standout on that record. And Black Tears.
I might revisit that then.
Black Tears was one.
That's
I'll be honest.
Cover.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Edge of Sanity cover.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that until I'm staring at the wiki.
So yeah, sorry. Standout tracks. Truth and Sacrifice for me. Standout tracks were Protector and What War Means.
Okay.
What War Means, especially, I thought that was a genuine standout. Like
that might have been the one that stood out to me. There was one, like I said, there was a quiet track, a piano track, and then immediately after there was a couple of good ones. Oh,
that makes sense. My Heart and the Ocean was like an almost interlude.
You shouldn't have an 8-minute interlude. It's just 5-minute interlude. It's really
it's a bit much. But then Expatriate was that's I'd say that's one of the standouts. To be fair, that's the immediate follow-up, and then
that's the one I repeated 16 times when you couldn't hear me. That I think Expatriate was possibly one of them, but I couldn't really remember any of the names of them off the top of my head. I mean, while I'm walking and I've got my phone in my pocket, it's hard for me to get it out and check it. But
yeah, I'm the same. I don't unless something jumps out, then I'll look. Oh, what's this one called?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I should really get one of those watches that tells me what I'm listening to. But then that's like 200 quid on something I don't really need.
Yeah, on a watch to tell you the name of a song.
Exactly, when I could just get my phone out of my pocket if I gave that much of a fuck.
There's a track called "Children of a Lesser God."
Yeah,
that I thought it did stand out, but for the wrong reasons. Like when the reason I check, like we were just saying, you know, you're going to check if it stands out. This stood out, and I had to check what it was called, just because I didn't like it.
Well, the album's broken up into 2 albums essentially, but it doesn't really. You don't get that from Spotify. It just plays it through as like 19 tracks start to finish. And I think that's maybe why it's so like exhausting. It's got 2 albums to it. If you listen to it as one album and then the second album, maybe it's more accessible. You know, like Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. You listen to them
like
as
a
2
double
separate.
disc
You listen to it as 2 separate albums, and they are very different albums. Like if you listen to the Melancholy and then the Infinite Sadness, they're very different albums. Maybe that's the idea that they were going for with this, but because it's all in one place, because it like there is a definite point on it where it stops being like one album, and it gets this kind of like thicker, heavier, slightly more hardcore sound to it, and maybe that's what they go for on it.
It's interesting that you raise that because I hadn't thought of that at all. Like I noticed a difference, but I hadn't considered the idea of like back in the day that would be a double album. Right?
Well, that's the only thing that alerted me to that was the Wikipedia page. It's split into 2 separate albums, Of Truth and Sacrifice.
Right, and that makes a hell of. Does it tell you where? Because I can't off the top of my head remember where I noticed the difference.
So the Children of a Lesser God is the first track on And Sacrifice. So that's the second.
Right. Okay.
The first track on the second album. So that's the point it splits.
That makes sense, I guess, because that was, like I say, that one stood out to me as being one that I wasn't overly fond of. So that makes sense. The Sorrows of Victory and Stateless are 2 tracks towards the back end of that record that worked well together, I thought.
Yeah.
But not, they weren't standout tracks individually. They just worked very well one off the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I found this a really odd one to listen to, if I'm honest. Like not this record specifically, this band.
Yeah.
I found it a really strange one to listen to because obviously when we listen to them for these purposes, we're not listening casually anymore. We're kind of listening with a judgmental eye.
Yeah.
A judgmental ear, I should say. So we're probably reading more into it than they intended.
Yeah.
But like I say, at the same time, I couldn't help, especially on Iconoclast. Pardon me. I couldn't help but think there were some really intentional, like some really hard decisions went into it. Like, we want this to be tough. We don't want you to listen to it and enjoy it. We want you to listen like we're making a point, or I'm fucked if I know what that point was. But it's almost like the art came before the music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was weird. It's not an experience that I enjoyed, but it was not because I didn't like the music. It was just more listening to it as one whole product was tough.
Yeah, it's not something I think I'll probably revisit anytime.
I'd need a break from it. But as I said, if I do at any point, I can see myself this week going back to Protector and What War Means.
Yeah. Okay.
Those
I suppose that's something positive to take away then, isn't it?
I mean, we don't do reviews as such as, like out of 10 or whatever.
No, it's just more like we gibber shit about our opinions for half an hour or whatever.
Well, that's it. And to be honest, I think we may have come across as being a bit down on this. And that's not the case. I think they have their place. And I think these records have their place in this band's discography. And I think this band definitely has their place in, I want to say hardcore. We were talking earlier, I kept saying metalcore. They've got such a hardcore aesthetic that I think they can't be ignored. They've got to be there in that hardcore lineage.
But I mean, on the Wikipedia pages for them, they're described as a German extreme metal band. But
yeah, I read that too.
The more recent stuff, I kind of agree almost. Like the newest album, there's a lot of kind of that blast beats, a fast double pedal. not got a groove. It's more just like an onslaught with screaming over the top of it. And I get that, but then there's too much metalcore in it for me to call them an extreme metal band. There's too many moments where it does have that kind of like hardcore, straight up groovy type stuff.
Yeah, I think there was a lot more on that Iconoclast record.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot. That's got a genuine, like, an obvious hardcore sound, and it's even in places when a lot of the overriding elements are not hardcore. Like if it's a really hardcore, like rhythm line and guitar line, the vocals haven't changed because, as you said earlier, they're the same all the time.
Yeah.
So then it's just out and out hardcore. But when the music's doing something that's a little bit more, because there's like a black metal influence to it, I think.
Yeah.
When the music's gone a bit more black metal, the vocals are still hardcore enough that you can't forget the hardcore influence. So it's, I don't know. It was a really weird one for me. I didn't enjoy the experience of listening to it, but I think, like I say, I think that's purely because I had to listen to it start to finish.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if somebody kind of like tossed you a song and said, "Hey, check this out," you might have enjoyed it more than here. Listen to these 2 entire albums.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you'd have like handed me a compilation record and they had a track on that, I'd think it was outstanding. But if that one track had then led me on to search them out and listen to full records, I wouldn't have gone through a full record in one go. I doubt I'd have gone through a full record in fucking 6 months.
How about this for the studio that Iconoclast was recorded in was called Rape of Harmony's studio.
That tells you a lot about what you're going to hear if you listen to these records.
Maybe explain where all the tone from the guitars went.
Yeah, well, like I say, there was some strange production choices on the Iconoclast record. And if anything, just being a nerd, being a musician and like, you know, kind of a music production nerd, it makes me want to listen to more of this stuff to see how intentional that might have been.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't make me want to do that enough that I'm going to be doing it anytime soon.
Yeah, I kind of want to stick random objects down my pee hole a little bit more than listen to another 2-hour album, hour and a half.
Do you know what it did make me want to listen to? Like listening to this through, what it really did make me want to listen to was real hardcore. Like it just put me in the mood for hardcore.
I think that's probably why I started listening to Terror and First Blood again, because I was like, yeah, I want the hardcore elements that this gives me without all the kind of bits that bore me in the middle. I want the 2-minute songs.
Yeah, of course. That's the thing. That's when I'm listening to this, it's like, well, it's exactly as you just say. It's like, yeah, that's brutal. Why is it still happening?
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Like, you know, when you're watching like a scene in a film and you're like, just take the camera away. Just make the camera look away. This is hard. This is disgusting. This is hard. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, we're going to keep you looking at this. How's this for you? How's some more chug for you? How's more screamy for you?
I feel like all their decisions, all of our, for want of a better word, all of our criticisms in the last hours discussion about these records, I feel like if band heard us talk about it, they'd be like, shit, it worked.
He'd be like, yeah, that's what we're going for.
That's it, man. Very confusing.
Fuck you too.
So we don't know what we're doing next.
It'd be your choice, I guess.
I guess it's my turn. So I'll have a think about it. I'll let you know. And I guess we'll record another one within the week, I guess. So sign off. Did we do a thing?
We did a thing. It was a bit of a test in time, but we did it. We got through it.
I apologize for the technical problem. Since I changed cans, it seems to have calmed down, though you do still keep cutting out, just not like you did with the old ones. So if you want to find us on Facebook, go in the old search bar at the top, search at Phil and Dave EA, or just search Heavy in all caps and you'll find us. On Twitter, we're _excellent. If you want to look at our back catalogue of videos, which I won't lie, we haven't added any in fucking time, but we'll get around to that eventually, especially once we can actually be in a room together. YouTube, just search Bite Back Media. You'll find us on there. Bite Back Media on Patreon. Should you want to show your support financially, that would be awesome. You can email us at philanddaveea@gmail.com. And if you're already listening to this, you don't need the links for Spotify or Apple Podcasts, but you can find us on any of them platforms. And all of these links are pinned to the top of the Facebook page. So that's really the only one you need. At Phil and Dave EA, or search heavy in all caps. And in the meantime, I am so desperate for a piss now. That's it. We're done. I'm off.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Laters. Keep it heavy. God, I'm going to piss myself.